Namaste, I'm JV Dr. Sapna Gehlot and my session is on monism. What is monism? There are two schools on the nature of sovereignty of state. What is monism and another is the pluralism. While the monists hold the sovereignty is unlimited and indivisible or singular, the pluralists hold that it is limited and divisible or plural. Moreover, as the former belong to the early modern period, they are called the advocates of traditional or classical theory of sovereignty, but the latter belong to the period of 19th and 20th century, and so they are regarded as advocates of the modern theory of sovereignty. The dividing line between the two is quite sharp. While the former treat state as the highest association endowed with the absolute legal power to issue commands and secure their obedience, the latter distinguish between state and society and treat state as a superior, but by no means supreme association in relation to other groups and association of the people. The school of monism has its first exponent in Jean Bodin of France of the 16th century, in whose view sovereignty is the supreme and perpetual power of the state. The emperor of the supreme is the lawmaker, whose authority is unrestrained by any civil law. But Bodin refers to the law of nature and law of nations that binds the authority of the state. An improvement upon this idea of sovereignty is made by Thomas Hobbes of England in the 17th century. He maintains that laws, properly speaking, are nothing but the commands of a political sovereign, so that there can be no legal limits to his highest legal authority. The Leviathan of Hobbes is the sole legislature, principal executive, and the chief judicial officer. He hears and decides all the controversies and make determination of facts and laws, control defense, and levies taxes to support his administration, chooses his own ministers and counselors who are like his agent and responsible to him alone. The name of Rousseau of France of the 18th century belonged to the same category. He maintained that sovereignty that resides in the body politic or the general will has no legal limitation, because its sovereignty being formed wholly of the individual who can compose it but can have no interest contrary to theirs. He is the sole judge of what is important for subjection to the general will, and acts only when it legislation for the particular interest and when the partial association are formed at the expense of the great association. Rousseau in this way does the same what is done by Hobbes so far as the doctrine of monism is concerned, with this essential point of difference, that while Hobbes talks of the legal sovereignty of a despot, Rousseau upholds the case of sovereignty of the true will of the people. The doctrine of monism has its most abstract or metaphysical interpretation at the hands of German philosophical Hegel. To him, state is the highest stage of social development. It is an objectification of the real self of the individual, and it is the externalization of the individual freedom. Hegel died in 1831. An Austen book on jurisprudence appeared in the following year, in which the monistic interpretation of the sovereignty had its best representation. As we already said, that the Austen vests all authority in the hands of a determinate human superior, who is not in a habit of obedience to a like superior, and who rather receive habitual obedience from the work of a given society. It is the existence of such a sovereign authority that makes the society political as well as independent. He discards the case of moral laws, metaphysical laws, customary laws, and the likes, and gives all importance to the positive laws of the state that are in the nature of commands, and for that reason binding on all concerned persons and their association. In fine, the theory of in a nutshell, the theory of monism holds that state alone is competent to make and enforce law that is binding on all, whether individuals or groups living under its control. This power cannot be shared by any other association. There may be any form of government, but the supreme power of legislation, administration, and adjudication rests with the departments of the state.